Hey everybody, Danny Watt here. Thanks for joining us. This week I'm going to show you how you can generate extra power and accuracy with your driving and your iron play using something called pull power, not push power. And in order to do this, you're going to have to stop rushing that downswing. I'm going to show you exactly how you can create those effortless yards. You've probably seen the guys at your local golf club or on TV, and they're generating so much power. What you see is a pretty effortless looking golf swing, right? Well, I'm going to share with you how they go about doing it. They get everything in the right order. Before we do, have a look at Richard here who came to see me. You'll see with his swing, when he's coming through, he rushes the downswing, and as a byproduct to rushing the downswing, he gets in a very weak position, and you can see it looks a bit awkward, right? The hips are very square, he's not rotating, there's no real power. It doesn't look elegant. Now look, using one of the latest training aids I kind of gave him to experiment with, which I'll show you how to use it towards the end of the video. Look at the difference in what happens in Richard's swing when he starts to come through now with this new training aid. He swings back here and he's coming through, and now suddenly everything looks kind of normal, right? He's turning through, he's generating beautiful club head speed, and the swing looks fluent and natural. Now, question is, how do you go about achieving that? Well, before we get into this training, if you are new to the channel and this is one of your first videos, consider subscribing. I release videos just like this one every single week to try and help you improve your game. So, what are we after in a downswing, right? What do we want? How do you get effortless power? Well, what you need to get effortless power is really straightforward. When you swing back here, there needs to be an order of sequence. It needs to start from the ground, starts with your feet, followed by the torso, followed by the arms, followed by your hands. What does that mean? If you throw a ball, you don't throw a ball with just your arm. It's quite weak, right? But this is what a lot of people do. They throw from this section. There are people who hit it long distances and it looks effortless. They start from the ground, the torso follows, the arm follows, and then finally there's a release of the hand, okay? Now, this is the same in golf. When you're set up in position here, we want to create from here, the feet moving, the torso moving, the arm moving, and finally, when you get to here, there's a firing of that golf club. The question is, that's wonderful to understand that. How do you go about feeling it? Well, I'm going to give you two very simple things to start with. And then I'm going to introduce a great training aid which makes this job so much easier. But let's first of all talk about pull power and push power. Most people, when they get to the top of the backswing here, they start the downswing from this side, the torso, as opposed to the legs. So what they're doing is they're hitting from the top and they're pushing the ball forward. What they're not doing is pulling it. What do I mean? Imagine now me and you now, we're going to have a tug of war. I'm going to get you to hold this end of this golf club, right? So imagine you hold that end. I'm holding this end. And what we're going to do now is, in order for me to be in my strongest position and most powerful position, I'm going to pull, aren't I? And I'm going to pull with my legs. Am I just going to do this? No way, there's no power there, right? So you get on that side and you imagine what you're going to do, right? You're going to pull. You're going to pull with your legs, followed by the torso, followed by the arm, and you're going to drag me through impact, okay? So we want to create that. So that's the sensation that I want. Let me show you from this angle. When we get here, right, I want you to imagine that somebody's pulling at this side. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull through here. You're going to drive. What you're not doing is pushing this way. So you're going to use pull power. The weight of the club is behind, and then you fire, okay? So that's the first thing I want you to get the sensation of, using pull power, not push power. Let's have a look at this in action. Get yourself set. I'm going to swing back here. I'm not pushing now here. I'm going to pull down, pull this way, lead this way, and then fire it through, okay? Let's have a look. Swing it back. And that's pull power. That is that's just launched. Maybe I should do a bit more pull power. Okay, that's the first thing I want you to do. So you've now got this general sensation of what are we after? We want pull power, not push power. But for those people who are rushing their downswing, they often don't complete. So what they're doing is they don't get in any real position to pull. So watch this. I've got to complete my backswing look to get into a position to pull down. If I haven't completed my backswing, I've got nothing left. I've got this motion. So we need to make sure that we get a lovely, complete backswing. Now, the simplest way of doing this, I find people are just rushing it. They're just swinging a little bit too quickly and they're snatching. So what I want you to do is, I learned this from the gym really. When you're lifting weight, you breathe in through your nose, and when you're exerting the strength, you exhale through. What I want you to do now is this. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose on the way back, and let it go on the way through. So deep breath on the way back, that would give you time. Then if you kind of in a sense if you're in a sense breathing through your nose on the way back, it's only a little breath, you're never going to complete, right? So a good long breath through your nose on the way back. Exhale on the way down, okay? So we're deep breathing through the nose on the way back to complete the swing. And we're accelerating on the way down by breathing outwards. Simple but great way of making sure you complete your backswing so that you can store the energy and you can get that ability to pull. Don't complete your backswing, don't get that movement here. You've got nothing to pull. Very difficult to stop the push coming in. You need to get pull power for maximum distance and control. Finally, let me introduce you to a wonderful new training aid, which I gave Richard, which completely and ultimately transformed the whole look of his golf swing. So let me introduce you to the Orange Whip training aid. All the details of this I'll put in the description below, but this is what I used with Richard to really kind of transform the whole feel of his golfing. So one of the things is that there's one thing me talking about the pull, etc. But sometimes these things are difficult to feel, aren't they, right? Stopping rushing the downswing is something difficult to feel. What training aids like this do, they help to speed up this entire process. So what we're doing now is this. We've said, look, we want to get to complete the swing, so we're in a pull position. But when you can feel this, in a sense, big lump of weight at the back here, big lump of weight at the back here, what you can then do is we can really sense where that is, and we can pull that weight through the impact area. What Richard was doing, as you can see here, I'll just put the video in his left-hand corner. When he was here, what was he doing? He was throwing his driver this way, right? And you can see here that he was getting very cramped up. What a training aid like this does is he just wouldn't do that because you can feel the weight. What you're going to do now, just as if you were playing a tug of war, you're going to pull that weight through the impact area for maximum power, because it just makes sense to do that. It's just the most natural thing to do. You just wouldn't do this. This just feels awkward. So what this exercise does is it helps you to feel the natural transition. And look at the difference we saw with Richard's swing when he started using this. It was absolutely mind-boggling, the change. From here, he's pulling, the body naturally starts to open up because it's responding to this weight, it's pulling this weight through. And hey presto, we got a lovely feel. All Richard would need to do now is spend some time swinging this, alternating between his driver and his irons, and just getting a sense of this weight being dragged or pulled through and then fired. So let's have a look at this in action, then we'll grab a driver again and have another look. So we're winding it back here, we're pulling through here, and then we're firing it through, but we keep, in a sense, if we're trying to win this tug of war, we keep driving, we keep pulling, and we're firing it through. Let's have a look from the reverse side. So let's just have a look at it from this side. So you can see here, what Richard was doing when he swung back here, which he did with his driver, was he would throw this motion. And then you could see there, very straight on. Watch what happens when you can send something back here, which in this situation would be your golf club, your head. Feel the weight of that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use that weight and you're simply going to pull it. You're going to drive it down. It's always going to start naturally with the lower part of the body. your hips are going to clear, leave space to fire through. So it doesn't generate the power, but also you can imagine that is inaccurate. This helps you swing on a consistent arc on the way through to generate that power. So let's summarize. What have we done? We've got to stop rushing that downswing to generate those extra yards and accuracy. 3 things we've done today. First thing, you got to kind of get a sensation that you got to use pull power, not push power. What does that mean? Well, when you get to the backswing here, okay, you don't want to be kind of pushing this way. If we're having that tug of war, I'm going to win if you're pushing as opposed to pulling. There's the first thing. How do you get into a pull position? You've got to make sure that you're completing your backswing on the way back so that you've got something to pull. How do you go about doing that? Well, there's many ways. I find that when I try and ask people to complete, they add too much tension. So sometimes it's just taking longer to complete the backswing. I like to get people breathing in through their nose, full breath, and out through their mouth. If you breathe in through your nose, you can complete and exhale on the way down. And finally, we used the orange whip training aid here, which kind of, in a sense, it kind of makes you, it helps you feel this a bit more. It's one thing we're discussing on video, but if you've got something that really helps promote all these feels, it just speeds up the entire process. And as I said, all the details are in the description down below. But let's have a look from this angle and have a quick crack at this with driver. So we're kind of winding it back here and we're going to pull through here and drive that ball, hopefully miles and straight. There we go. Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoy this training. If you do, please share it with a friend who needs a little bit of help with their driving and maybe some of their iron play as well. Maybe they're struggling with a bit of rhythm. But if you enjoy the training, give it a thumbs up, and maybe if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, press the bell so I can give you some videos and some help next week. But until next week, have a great golfing week.